C#.
Yeah, so
And
the
what
basic,
that framework is.
Yeah, so I told you about introduction, history of C#, and then variables and data types, right? Told you different types of data types you can use, long, int, string, okay? And I told you what is the basic things, syntax through which we can display a message on console, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now another topic for today is C# typecasting. If you remember this typecasting, I have told you in Java and C programming also. So today's topic is typecasting. Do you have any idea what is typecasting?
Changing from one variable to another.
Yeah, from data
via
type.
A specific hierarchy.
Yeah.
So data type
From
doing
mm-hmm.
with a specific hierarchy, as different data types have different amount of bytes.
It's very simple. Typecasting is when you assign a value of one data type into another data type. A very simple definition. Typecasting is when you assign a value of one data type to another data type. That's what typecasting is. You're having a value of int and you want to convert it into float. All right, that's called as typecasting. So in C# or in C#, there are two types of casting, or you can say typecasting. So there are two types of casting. If you remember, I told you this thing. One is implicit.
Explicit.
Yeah, implicit casting. And another is explicit casting. Another name for implicit casting is automatically. And what's it? It's simply converting a smaller type into a larger type. That's called as what? Implicit casting. So converting a smaller data type or a value of smaller data type into a larger data type. For example, we have char or char, and we're going to convert it into int, and then int can be converted into longer, which is long, okay? And then you can convert that into float, then you can convert that into double, the biggest one. That's what implicit casting is, okay? Second is now explicit, which is manually, or you can say manual typecasting. Explicit casting, or in the bracket you can add its manual casting. What's it? It's simply, you can say, converting a larger type into a smaller size type. And if you give an example or you want to demonstrate it more, we can reverse this process. So that's double and then float, then long, then int, and then at
Short.
last char.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. So that's how you are going to demonstrate typecasting. Simply, typecasting is when you assign a value of one data type into another data type. Now we have two types of casting in C#: implicit casting and explicit casting. Implicit means converting a smaller type into a larger type, and explicit means converting or conversion of a larger data type value into a smaller type. That's what is it all about. Okay, got it? Clear with the definition?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now let's take an example of implicit casting. Okay, as I've told you, implicit typecasting is done automatically when passing a smaller size type into a larger type. So it's done automatically when you pass on the value. I mean, when you pass on a smaller value into a larger type or smaller size type to a larger size type, that's called as implicit. So now an example, I'm going to define one variable called number. Integer number is equal to 9. And then I will define another variable. Now I'm going to use it as number2 or my number. And data types will be different. All right, so here I'm using integer and here I'm using my double. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I will put it equal to number. Sorry, number. Yeah, I will put it equal to number. That's called as automatic casting. Into double. So I have casted an integer value or a variable number which is having the value 9 stored in, it's of type integer. So I have defined another variable my number and it's of type double, and this number is basically a variable and it has the value 9 and it is now typecasted into double. Got it? And this is automatic casting. That's int into double. Integer into double. Okay, then you can say, if you want to check it, you can see this console dot write line, like I said, the syntax, and first is your number and then semicolon. Output should be 9 on both the positions, and then even console dot write line, I'm going to use my number. Semicolon. So at both points, the output will be 9. So this is what implicit casting is, where automatically we can convert or typecast an into or an integer type into a double. Okay, now let's go through it and try to write this example or try to write the code in Visual Studio. Okay, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So This was the previous example, and I am going to copy it, cut it here, or Control X it here and paste it here, so that I will make it as a comment. I will make it as a comment here. And now I'm going to write the same code here, or if you want, you can simply copy it. All right, but simply right now I'm just going to give another number. So number, or you can say this is int type. I will say int or my int, which is equal to, now value is equal to 13. Value can be anything, it will give the output, but main topic is to convert, to typecast an integer data type, variable or value into double. So then I'm going to use double here. So I'm going to use my double double equals to, I'll make it as my int. That's it. And after that, I'm going to use console.writeLine, and in it, I will say the value of my int is plus my, this is another way, okay? Like if you want to add a line, a syntax, or you want to add a string with the variable value, so you can do it. If you just want the output, you can simply type in my int, okay? And then I will copy this line and paste it again. Now instead of my int here, value of my, it's my double double is simply plus my double. That's it. And you will get solution. Save it and then run it over here. You will get the solution here. Oh, wait a sec. It was already open. Now you can see here. This is the output. The value of my int is 15. The value of my double is 15. So what happens, it simply casts it, or it stores the value of integer. It's an integer value, and it directly stores it in the double. In the first line, it's also 15, but here also it's 15. Why? Because my int is a variable, which is its stuff stored in my double variable, and it's typecasted. Okay, got it? Clear with it? Great. So you can hit enter here. It will automatically close it. Anybody wants to write the notes for this? Hello, Hadil. Hadil?
Yes, Mr.
Lubna.
Khan.
Where is Miss Lubna? Michael, do you want to write it?
Finished writing, sir.
You done? Hadil, you want to write this? Hello? Heck, she left. Okay. Tell us. Now, another example is explicit, or how do we write the code of explicit casting, and which is the manual one. So how do we do it? Example. Explicit casting. All right. First of all, what is it? Again, I'm going to write a few lines for it. Explicit casting must be done manually by placing the type in parentheses. In parentheses in front of the value. That's what we have to do. So that's a difference which we have to, understand, which you need to understand. Here we have not done anything. We just have defined the values like we do define in the other programming languages, and we have just stored the value. We have just directly, instead of storing the value here, we just stored the number, but data type is changed. But here we have to manually do it. We have to place the type in parentheses in front of the value. So now the example is very simple. So now as it's from larger to smaller. So now right now I'm going to use the variable double, and I can say my double, and now I will say like 15.867 is the value. And now I'm going to use integer, which is the lowest in data types after char or car. I will now use my int or my integer. And how you have to define it, you have to define it with the data type. So integer int again in the parentheses, and then you have to define the variable name, which is defined with the help of data type double. So double will be here. I'm defining int here, name of the variable, and again in the value in the parentheses, you have to define to which particular data type you're going to cast it. So we have to say that you have to cast it to integer. And what's the variable name? It's my double, double, and semicolon. That's, you can say it's manual casting. Double to int. Then in the same way, you have to write console dot write line, whatever you want. So first will be my double, double, then console dot write line, then it's gonna be my int. That's it. The variable name, with the help of which first it's gonna give you 15.67, and then output will be over here, it will be dot, but in here it will be just 15, not output will be just 15, because you are converting into integer data type where decimals doesn't exist. All right, and here it's gonna give you the same value, that's 67, 15.67. Okay, output will be 15.67. Okay, so copy it, and after that, let me comment it down. This is the example of implicit typecasting. That's explicit, sorry. So this is implicit typecasting, and this is explicit typecasting. So here it's not I capital, I small. So double, again, here is D small. So double is converted to or typecasted to int in a manual way by adding the type in the parentheses and then the value, or you can say the variable name. Save it and then run it. You will see here it's 15.67 and it's 15. If you wanted to add a string, what you have to do, you have to add plus here, and in the left hand side you will add two strings. The value of my double is whatever it is. And then same thing you have to add here. I'm going to copy it. In programming, you have to be smart as always. And then value of my int is what happened. My int is after typecasting. Save it and run it. You'll see here. The value of my double is 15.67, which is the exact actual value, and the value of my it is after typecasting. My it after typecasting, not is. After typecasting. I will close it for now and run it again using F5 is the function key that you can use to run your programs without going here and clicking on this icon here or tool here. So the value of my double is 15.67. When you cast it into it, it will not give you 0.67. It is just going to store 15 because the data type is int. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Great. Do you want to practice on it, Michael, Carlos, or Hadil? Hadil, why you left? Anybody want to practice on it, or you want me
Just
to
keep
continue?
going, sir.
Great.
Just keep going.
So wait a sec, let me paste out the year 2. All right, after that, type conversation methods. There are some methods through which we can make use of the conversation. So type conversation methods. Using the typecasting, it's also possible to convert data types explicitly by using built-in methods. Now we can use the built-in methods of C# and we can convert the data types, but we can convert them using the explicit typecasting. So it's also possible to convert data types explicitly by using built-in methods, such as, you can say, such as convert dot to boolean or to double. Sorry, it's D double. You can say comma convert is dot to string. If you want to convert it into string, comma many other. Okay, etc. So these are all the methods, or just two methods which we can use to convert to double, to string, to boolean, to int. If you wanted to convert it into int, we can use convert dot to int. Int can be long or int. As I've told you, int is 32-bit, or you can say 64-bit. So we can, if you wanted to convert it into small int, that's a data type int. So we can use toInt 32, and in the parentheses you have to say int. Okay, if it's 64, so instead of 32, you need to replace it with 64, but convert to long. Okay, so convert dot to int 64, but instead of int here as a data type, you need to replace it with long. Okay, so these are the methods. Okay, so we have 9 minutes for this session. We will take an example of how we can use the methods to explicitly convert the data types. All right, are you with me?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to define an integer variable. So directly, yep. So I'm going to define an integer, what I'm using. Integer, and I will define number1 equals to 10. Okay. And I will say double equals to my it's better to write here directly without wasting the time. So it's conversation methods. You can say type conversation methods. I will define one variable with the name num1 is equal to 18, and then I will use double, and I will use num2 here, or it's better to say my d equals to suppose 56.78. Then I will use bool also, and it's my b equals to 2. As you know that the value should be either true or false set in these variables. They are showing you the underline with green because we have not called them yet. So now when we call them, we will use console.writeLine, and in it, what we're going to do, we will directly use the method. So convert dot, you can see these are all the methods which are going to come. We'll say convert dot to string, okay? And in the parentheses, we are going to use the variable number1, okay? We have to convert it into string. That's it, khalas. And at the same time, you will see there's no green underline in num1. In the same way, if you wanted to convert double now into my int, so you can say convert to double. To double. And here again, we will say number first. So you can convert it into string and convert it into double. This is the same variable name num1, okay? And then again, console.writeLine convert to, now if you want it to be converted, if you want the double data type, my d should be converted into int. What we have to do to, or we can say to int, int. You can see it's going to give you whether 32 or 64. So I'm going to go with 32. And here I will replace it with the variable which is with the data type double, and it's my d. I will just type in my d. That's it. And after that, again, I will copy it. And again, now about the bool. So I will say to string dot to s string, and I will convert this bool into string. So what is the variable name? It's my b. That's it. And you will save it. So this particular first one will help you to convert int into string. Second will help to convert it into a double. Third will help us to convert double into int. And fourth will convert a bool into string. Very simple. So it will help us simply int into string, here it into double, here you can say double into int, and here boolean into. So that's using the methods. We can go with typecasting, and then we can use F5 to run it. And you can see here in the first, it's int into string, it's 18. And the second, it's int into double, it's 18. And the third, it's double into it, it's 57. You can see it's going to give the nearest one. It will not give you 56 or 78. It's going to be 57, which is the nearest to, it's 78. That means it's nearest to 57. And then Boolean, it's converted into string. So it's going to give you the true result. Got it? So that's the output of typecasting using inbuilt methods. Okay, using convert dot to double, to int, whatever you want. Okay, to Boolean even you can use. Now you must be asking a question to yourself, why do we use this conversation? Why there is a need of it? Any answers? Yep.
To ensure variables are correctly processed by another function.
Yeah.
In case
Many
that other
times there
function
is, yeah,
doesn't
there's
have
no
another.
need for type conversations, but sometimes we need to. So when you will be working with the user input, when you type in yourself, when in Java also, I told you when you ask the user to input the details, at that time, we need these typecasting methods, all right? So when we will work with the user input, in the next example, I'm gonna tell you that thing, okay? So mostly we use these methods, the inbuilt typecasting methods, when you ask the user. Right now we are storing the values here, all right? So when you ask the user to store these values, at the time we must or we should use typecasting methods, okay? I am going to stop the meeting here. I will restart it. Please join all of you again, okay? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everybody please join the meeting again. I'm gonna stop it here because there is just 1 minute left. All right, so this was about what? About typecasting. There are two types, implicit and explicit. I have given you the example of both. You know, explicit, what's explicit and what's implicit. Then I told you about type of conversation methods. Type conversation methods. We can even have the pre-built or inbuilt methods such as convert.to double, with the help of which we can directly convert to the data types based on their variables and based on the data type, okay? And I have given you the examples also. This was all about typecasting. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Everything's clear?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it here and please join again.